Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Hello everyone, I'm Colin Kinnett, and today, as you can see, I have purchased a brand new dust collector, and I'm going to be setting that up, showing you what it's like, and I'm going to compare the old one with the new one, so lots of cool stuff coming, so stick around, this should be fun. So obviously I had to start off with this big box because that's where the owner's manual is in the drum here. But I want to show you the volume of this. If you're ever purchasing one of these, you're going to need a pretty big vehicle to carry it because this is 4.5 feet high and it's 26 by 26. That's as you can see, the dust collection part of it. Then there's the motor that sits on top, and it's another 26 by 26 by 28, and then there's the filter. So if you've got a smart car, this is probably not the vehicle to go and pick up this dust collector in. So before I get started, the first thing I need to do is disassemble my old dust collector system. And you may have seen me make this many, many years ago. In this case, I was using the Super Dust Deputy from Oneida. That's the metal one, and it worked really well. It did fine for me for many years. All of my dust collects down here. I can lift this off. The whole thing is a little bit messy, but it worked okay. Some of the problems, it takes up a lot of extra space in my small shop because I've got this unit, then I've got the other unit over there where the actual motor and impeller are, and then that's all joined by this hose which cuts down on the pressure of the air because it's a ribbed hose. Now, before I completely disassemble everything, I want to check a couple things. First of all, I want to check the decibels, how loud the old dust collector is, but I also have a wind speed indicator, and I'm going to check the amount of pressure that is coming right from the impeller there, as well as the hose. So let's start off with the decibels. Now, I'm not going to show you everything today. For example, the unboxing, I'm not going to bother to waste your time with things like that. I'll show you the important parts of putting this together and how it's going to perform. So a quick look at what comes out of that when I unpackage that. These are the legs. I'll need to set these up. This is really quality. These are really heavy legs, good pipe, powder coated, really good quality. And there's looks like some spare bags. There's some gaskets, some components there that I'll have to look at later on. And there's some wheels. I guess there's some wheels for the tub that's going to hold the dust collecting, the dust and chips. This are probably wheels for here. And there's some more bits and pieces in there. So I need to get into this and see what all these parts are for. And there's what I was looking for. Right there's the manual. So when I have a read of this, we'll come back and get started. So as I opened up the manual and started looking at the components and looking back at the bags, I noticed each one of them are labeled. Look at this is the drum casters, which is what I thought they were. These are the leg casters, which I thought. But look at, they've labeled everything as to what it is and where it goes. I love that. That's what a quality manufacturer should be doing. That's excellent. Now I've put the legs together and set this all up. I put some bolt through here and here on each leg. But let me show you this for a second. At the top here, there are carriage bolts, and you can see when I try and tighten them, they're just going to want to spin a little bit. So what I found I had to do was to just use some pliers and just hold on to that, tighten that bolt up a little bit, and that draws the head of that into the plastic so that it tends to want to hold on a little bit better. Now the other thing that you need to do before you put the impeller on is in the bag you will find two fittings like this. And I had a little bit of a difficulty trying to find this, but here is where one of them goes. The other one will go in the barrel underneath, and basically, and you'll have a washer, so you'll put it through the wall, put the washer on the outside, and then you'll have a nut to tighten it down with. So just slide it through, put the washer on the back, and then tighten it up with the screw. Now there's another one of these that goes on the bucket on the bottom. This is the bottom, and there's another one that will go on here, and there's a hose that connects the two of them, and I believe that is to stop the bag, because you're going to put a plastic bag liner in here. I believe that's to stop the bag from sort of fluffing up in here. The next thing is to insert one of the disposable bags, and they actually give you a pack of 5, which is really nice. That's going to last me a long time. And there's that clear plastic tube that I've been talking about, and that wants to go on there, and that should just slide on there. I don't think it needs to be particularly clamped or anything like that. There's no mention of that. And then the other part goes down here to that fitting. So all the hardware to put what they call the motor, the impeller on, comes in a little bag, and it says motor attachment, but there's some special little clips in here, and I see they're sealed. So I'm putting these clips in, and they're a little tough to put in. You might need a little bit of help with it, but naturally I dropped the second one, and because we're open, this is open all the way down right into the barrel. Then of course now I had to take the barrel off and go fishing for this one little clip. So do yourself a favor, put a piece of paper on here so that in case you drop one of these clips, you don't have to disassemble the whole barrel at the bottom, so you can retrieve the one clip. And I'm also finding that once I get them started, the best way to get them, because they have to seat, they have to kind of clip in there, and they're a little tough, and I'm finding, and I just put that one upside down, that this lip needs to go underneath. Maybe pliers will help that, not really. But push it in, and I'm finding that if I use a rubber mallet to just, or you could use a wooden mallet and just tap that into place so that it makes sure that it seats. There it is. The motor comes packaged in foam, and it is really packaged well. You really need to struggle to get it out, and you can see that I'm sort of breaking the styrofoam around it. Now the reason I'm doing this, the next thing they ask you to do is to put a gasket. That's what that gasket was for, that was in that plastic bag. So the next thing that I need to do is to run this gasket material on the motor plate here. And they don't give you a guideline here. So what I've done, and I've looked at this very closely, it really needs to overlap the bolt heads in order to get a good fit on top of the plastic housing. So what I've done, I have a, I don't know what this is, it's a marking, it's a white marking pencil, and I've made, you can see the line here that I've made all the way around. And the way I did that, I just took a felt pen here, and I just did it by hand. I just held it on there because it only needs to be rough, and I just went all the way around like that, and it gave me a marking line so that now when I start peeling the backing off this, here it is here, I can start putting this on. And I'll be putting it on according to sort of be able to run it along. Now it's going to run pretty much right through each one of these bolt holes, which is not the best thing in the world because we're trying to keep all air sealing here. But from what I can see, this is the best way to get a good finish. And I'm going to start at the middle here, somewhere in here, and I'm just going to sort of follow that line all the way around. And when it comes to each one of these holes, I'm actually going to cut a little bit of a hole around for that bolt to go through. And that should give me an airtight fitting. It's critical that I make sure that they join nice and tight. You don't want to have a gap in here, especially right here. This is where it's really important that you don't have a gap. Okay, now comes the fun part of lifting the motor up and dropping it on there. And the 3 lugs on the motor mount need to align with these legs as well. So, and it's heavy, so don't be afraid to ask for help if you think you need it. I think I can manage mine. That's pretty good. Now the last part we need to put on is this certified HEPA filter, and that's going to make sure that it keeps the air in our workshops nice and clean. So all this does is fit in 4 bolts that are already in the filter. Put a washer on, and it's got these little plastic self-locking nuts that go on top of that. So the last thing for the install is underneath this filter, underneath the HEPA filter here, there's a little port, a little pipe sticking down, and that's what this cap is to go on, and it gets locked on place with this little hose clamp. Now what this is, turns out that this is the clean out for the HEPA filter, and the way that that works is typically you'll use your wet dry vacuum cleaner. I'm just fastening with this clamp, I'm just fastening that little cap on there, but you'll take this cap off and put your the hose for your wet dry vacuum cleaner or your shop vacuum, whatever you have, and turn on your shop vacuum and use your air compressor and shoot down like this to clean your filter. So there's air going in and it's pushing all the dust all the way down. So you go all the way down, and that'll clean all of the dust out of your HEPA filter. A little bit of tapping like that isn't going to hurt it either, and that will clean out your HEPA filter. And you need to do that on a pretty regular basis so that you get the best performance you can out of your dust collector. Well, there's my mini Gorilla dust collector all set up, ready to go. This little port down here is so that I can see how much dust there is collecting in there and empty that bag out. I really like the idea of having a bag. That whole drum just drops down. I can roll it out, lift the bag up, take it away, put a new one in, and it's ready to go. There is a little switch back here, which I'm probably not going to use, or rarely use, because I'm going to get a remote for it. I don't have a remote yet for it, but I'm going to be getting one of those. And that's ready to go. I mean, I can use it manually as it is right now. It comes with a 5-inch port, so I've got to drop down from 5 to 4. If I was stringing ducting around my workshop, which I don't do, I would be using 5-inch ducting, and that's the purpose of that, but I'm going to be stepping down to 4 right away. But what I want to do right now, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to be checking the decibels and the amount of power here and the power at the end of the hose, and see what a difference there is there. So just quickly looking at the stats here, the new one is a tiny bit noisier, 6 or 7 decibels. The old impeller was 40 and 60 miles per hour, but the scale that I had only goes to 68 miles per hour. Then it goes off scale, and both of these, it went off the scale, so I don't even know what you'd have to check the stats on Oneida's website to see what the actual speed is, but super powerful. So overall, I've had this machine for a few weeks now, and I just want to take a moment now in this video to do sort of my review of what this machine, how it's been operating. I'm just going to take the hose off here because I want to concentrate on what's down here. So I've already emptied 1 barrel of dust and chips from here, and I've just put a new one in and there's a little bit of dust in there, but I wanted to point out the little dust port here, and I knew that it would get sort of dusty on the inside, and sure enough it is. The manual, it says to use a flashlight, and that actually works fairly well. You can see in there what the level of the dust is, and you don't want to let that get out of hand because it will back up into the filter, and then you have to clean the filter, so very important. There's also an optional chip level indicator that you can get. I have that on order. I'm going to do another sort of video on accessories for this later on. The only thing that I found a little bit challenging is when you drop the barrel down here, the collection barrel, it has these nice little snap things here, but the problem is this barrel needs to fit snugly up into this. You can see this foam here, and it does take a little bit of fiddling, and I think I've got it down pretty good now. And what I've discovered is that if you put one of these on, there's 3 of these, if you use one on the back and sort of set it up, if you only do one, you can see how it tends to want to push that along. So you just need to use your hand and sort of guide that along and sort of feel for it. And when you find the sweet spot that this wants to sit up in, because there's a back in there, there's another lip as well as this, so it needs to sort of fit into a sort of a socket like this. And when you get there, you find that little sweet spot. So it just takes a little bit of fiddling to do that. And I'll see if I can do it quickly here on camera. And I just lift one up and move that on the other side, and you can actually feel that. There we go. And that one, I can feel that right there. And you can actually feel that snap. And there's one more that I've got to do there. But you can actually feel that once you get that on there. So other than that, this has been just a tremendous unit. There we go. Now that I've got the machine, or the hose attached, the machine's all ready to go. So my synopsis, now that I've been using this for a few weeks now, I just love this machine. It is super powerful. It was easy to put together. The instructions were clear. All the parts were clearly laid out as you already have seen, and it came together really easily. I love, for me, in a small shop, this works perfectly. I don't have hoses strung sort of throughout my shop. This is direct connects to each machine that I use, and it only takes me a second to do that because I've placed it sort of in a central location, and that means I get the maximum dust extraction from every machine that I'm using. The dust bag is easy to remove, it's trouble-free. As I said earlier, the only thing that I found a little bit fiddly is the barrel. It takes a little bit of finessing to get on there, but you know what, you don't change that barrel all that often, or at least I don't. But all in all, I am super happy with this machine. It certainly outperforms my last unit, and easy to clean, and it works towards my goal of getting a more dust-free environment. So if you've got a small shop, this might be something you want to have a look at. I'm Colin Kinnett for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.